the journey of life, we often find ourselves tangled in the intricate webs of human connection. Yet few things perplex a man more than the depths of a woman's emotional world. This is not a flaw or a mystery to be solved, but a profound complexity to be understood. It is a landscape of depth, wisdom, and power, far more than a mere emotional realm. To understand it is not to control or manipulate, but to observe, learn, and grow alongside it. Just as a Stoic knows that mastery of self comes through understanding the nature of the world around him, so too must a man know the nature of the woman by his side. Her emotions are not weaknesses, they are strengths. Her feelings are not to be feared, they are to be respected. And through this respect, a man discovers the true meaning of partnership, unity, and mutual understanding. Let us then begin to explore what every man must know about the emotional mind of a woman. Not to judge, but to better connect, to build and to rise together. Understanding the complexity of a woman's heart. To understand the emotional mind of a woman, one must first grasp the profound complexity that lies within her heart. It is not a simple puzzle to be solved, nor is it something to be confined to logic alone. Her heart is not a rigid construct, but a fluid, ever-evolving landscape of feelings, memories, and experiences that intertwine in ways often difficult to comprehend. Just as the Stoic philosopher strives to understand the nature of the universe, so too must a man strive to understand the nature of the woman beside him. But this understanding is not something that can be achieved overnight or through fleeting observations. It is a lifelong commitment to learning, listening, and reflecting. The emotional mind of a woman is not bound by the rigid structures of the world around her. It is a deep river that flows with the tides of love, loss, joy, and sorrow, each current shaped by the unseen forces of past experiences, hopes, and desires. Every thought, every action, every word she speaks is influenced by layers of emotion that have built up over time. These layers are not obstacles to be removed, but rather the very essence of who she is. They are her story, her truth, and they must be approached with both reverence and humility. A man must first acknowledge that the complexity of a woman's heart is not something to be fixed or simplified. It is not a challenge to be conquered or a riddle to be solved. It is a realm of deep emotion that requires patience, understanding, and above all, acceptance. Just as the Stoic understands that life cannot be neatly ordered into the categories of good or bad, a man must learn to embrace the full spectrum of a woman's emotions without judgment or fear. Her laughter, her tears, her moments of vulnerability, these are all part of the same intricate web of her being. To truly understand her heart, a man must accept all of these emotions as part of the rich complexity that makes her unique. In the world of Stoicism, it is often said that to understand anything, one must first accept its nature as it is. The same is true when it comes to understanding a woman's heart. Her emotional responses are not arbitrary, nor are they meant to create confusion or frustration. They are natural, deeply rooted in her being, and shaped by the events of her life, the relationships she's built, and the dreams she holds close. To ignore or dismiss these emotions is to fail to see her as she truly is. But to fully understand and appreciate her emotional world, a man must first be willing to sit with discomfort, to face the unknowns, and to explore the depths without rushing to conclusions. The complexities of a woman's heart are not burdens to bear, but gifts to be cherished. They offer a deeper connection, a more meaningful partnership. When a man approaches a woman's emotional landscape with genuine curiosity, respect and love, he begins to unlock the true power of connection. The complexity is not a barrier, it is a bridge to understanding, to growth, and to an unshakable bond built on mutual respect. A Stoic man, in his pursuit of wisdom, knows that every challenge holds within it an opportunity for growth. So too does the emotional mind of a woman. To understand her is not to possess her, but to walk beside her in a shared journey of emotional discovery. It is in this understanding that true partnership is born, one where each individual can bring their full, authentic self to the relationship, knowing that their complexity is valued, not diminished. In this journey, a man must cultivate not just patience, but also self-awareness. For understanding the complexity of a woman's heart requires a deep connection with his own heart. As he learns to navigate the intricacies of her emotions, he must also learn to navigate the complexities within himself. Only then can he truly meet her where she is, not in judgment, but in empathy and respect. It is through this process of mutual growth and understanding that a true and lasting connection is formed, a connection that transcends the superficial and delves into the very core of what it means to love, to share, and to be truly understood. The power of empathy in building true connection. Empathy is not a mere act of feeling pity for someone's sorrow or celebrating their joy. It is the art of truly stepping into the emotional world of another. It is the bridge between two souls, the silent understanding that transcends words, and the foundation upon which genuine connection is built. In the realm of a woman's emotional mind, empathy serves as the key that unlocks her heart, revealing the layers of vulnerability, hope, and pain that often lie beneath the surface. To empathize with her is not to merely acknowledge her feelings, but to feel them with her, to walk beside her through every storm and every triumph, as though her emotions are your own. In a world where emotions are often dismissed or misunderstood, especially in the case of women, empathy becomes a rare and valuable gift. A man who is willing to open his heart to the emotional truth of the woman in his life, without judgment or detachment, is a man who builds bridges, not walls. The Stoic understanding of empathy requires a discipline of the heart, for it is not enough to understand the other person intellectually. True empathy requires the ability to experience their emotions, to connect with them on a level that transcends surface interactions and dives deep into the soul. A Stoic man knows that understanding another person's emotions is not a passive act. It requires effort, presence, and the willingness to embrace another's truth, no matter how foreign or difficult it may seem. Empathy requires stillness of mind and heart, the ability to quiet one's own desires, needs, and judgments long enough to truly hear what the other person is saying, both with words and without. It is only then that a man can truly meet the woman where she is, not from his perspective, but from hers. In the emotional landscape of a woman's mind, there are often moments of confusion, frustration, and sadness. These are not weaknesses to be ignored, but truths to be acknowledged. When a man practices empathy, he learns not to offer solutions or quick fixes, but to simply be present. The woman's heart does not always seek resolution, but understanding. In these moments, it is not the answers that matter, but the companionship, the knowledge that she is not alone in her emotional journey. The power of empathy is not in changing the course of another's emotions, but in walking with them, silently supporting them as they navigate the complexities of their inner world. A man who embraces empathy in his relationship with a woman does not merely listen to her, he becomes a part of her emotional experience. He listens with his entire being, sensing the unsaid, feeling the subtleties of her moods, and offering a presence that communicates understanding without words. In doing so, he creates a space of emotional safety, where she is free to express her deepest emotions without fear of judgment or rejection. The Stoic wisdom teaches us that the only thing we can truly control is our own response to the world around us. In the context of empathy, this means controlling the impulse to fix, to judge, or to dismiss. It is easy to want to solve the emotional turmoil of another, to offer advice that may seem practical or logical. But a Stoic man knows that the woman in his life does not need him to be her savior. She needs him to be her witness, her companion, her equal in emotional depth. Through empathy, a man transcends the role of the problem solver and becomes the trusted ally, the presence that offers solace through understanding. Empathy, in its purest form, is a reflection of deep respect. It is the recognition that every individual's emotional world is sacred, that their feelings are valid, and that their experiences are to be treated with reverence. When a man embodies this form of empathy, he not only builds a stronger connection with the woman by his side, but also deepens his own understanding of himself and the world around him. For the act of empathizing is not a wayward exchange. It is a mirror that reflects both the other person's soul and our own. In the pursuit of empathy, a Stoic man is reminded of the importance of equanimity. His emotional composure, the ability to remain steady in the face of another's storm, allows him to truly be present without becoming overwhelmed by the emotions of the other. This balance is what enables him to provide the woman in his life with the emotional space she needs, while also maintaining his own inner peace. It is through this mastery of self that empathy becomes a powerful force for connection, for healing, and for the growth of both individuals involved. In building true connection, empathy is not optional, it is essential. It is the foundation upon which all other aspects of a relationship are built. Without empathy, there can be no true understanding, no genuine partnership, no lasting bond. But with empathy, a man and a woman are not two separate beings. They are two souls intertwined, each holding space for the other's emotional truth, each offering their own heart as a refuge, a sanctuary of understanding and love. Why patience is a virtue every man must embrace. Patience is not merely the act of waiting, but the art of enduring with grace and understanding. It is the stillness in the face of life's inevitable uncertainties, and the quiet strength that rises when faced with emotional turbulence. In the realm of a woman's emotional mind, patience becomes not just a virtue, but a necessity. For emotions, like waves, ebb and flow, and in this natural rhythm, the Stoic man knows that to rush, to push, or to force resolution is to disrupt the delicate balance of the heart. To understand the depths of a woman's emotions requires patience, not only with her, but with the process of growth, healing, and connection itself. A woman's emotional world is vast, and like the seasons, it shifts with time. There are days of sunshine where warmth and joy radiate freely, and there are days of storms where sorrow or frustration clouds the skies. A man who truly understands the emotional complexity of a woman must cultivate the patience to wait out these storms, to stand by her side without rushing to clear the skies or fix the moment. In this way, patience is not a passive act, but an active expression of love and commitment. It is the willingness to be present, to hold space, and to wait with unwavering presence for the moment of clarity to come. The Stoic approach to patience is rooted in acceptance. The acceptance that time, not force, is the true agent of change. Just as one cannot force a seed to grow by pulling at it, so too can a man not rush the emotional process of a woman's heart. Patience in this context means recognizing that each emotion, each experience, and each reaction is a part of a greater journey. It means understanding that to force a resolution is to undermine the natural course of emotional healing. A woman's heart is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be honored. It requires time, care, and the presence of someone who is willing to wait for the right moment. Patience also teaches a man to be mindful of his own emotional reactions. It is easy to become frustrated when a woman's emotions seem unpredictable or difficult to understand, but a Stoic man knows that the key to navigating this unpredictability is not to react in haste, but to respond with wisdom. Patience is the practice of not allowing external circumstances to disturb inner peace. It is the ability to remain calm and composed even when emotions run high. This inner tranquility allows a man to meet a woman's emotional needs without being swept away by them, and it gives him the strength to hold space for her while maintaining his own emotional balance. Through patience, a man learns to appreciate the depth of a woman's emotional world rather than trying to control it. He understands that her emotions are not a reflection of weakness or instability, but of strength and depth. Just as the Stoic teaches us to embrace life's challenges with dignity, a man must approach a woman's emotions with the same spirit, recognizing that they are an integral part of her humanity and not something to be managed or fixed. In this way, patience becomes a form of respect. It is the recognition that her emotional landscape is as valid and important as his own, and that true connection is forged not by demanding immediate understanding, but by allowing time for both partners to fully experience, learn, and grow. Furthermore, patience nurtures resilience in both individuals. When a man embraces the virtue of patience, he does not see emotional turbulence as a threat to his peace, but as a natural part of the ebb and flow of life. Through patience, he learns to endure with grace and to remain steady even when emotions run high. This resilience, forged through patience, strengthens the bond between him and the woman he cares for. They both learn to weather the storms of life together, knowing that their connection is built on a foundation that can withstand the test of time and emotional turmoil. In the pursuit of patience, a Stoic man finds an opportunity for self-mastery. He learns that true strength is not found in the ability to control others or the world around him, but in the ability to remain calm and composed within. To be patient is to exercise control over one's own desires, expectations, and reactions. It is to understand that no external circumstance has the power to disturb the inner peace of a man who has, and in this mastery, he becomes a steady presence for the woman he loves, offering her the support and understanding she needs without demanding anything in return. Patience is also a reminder that every emotional experience is fleeting. The storms will pass, the clouds will part, and the sunshine will return. The woman's emotions, like all things in life, are impermanent. They are not to be feared, but to be embraced, in the knowledge that they will evolve, change, and transform. A man who understands this embraces patience not as a burden, but as a powerful tool for emotional connection. It is through patience that he learns to appreciate the full spectrum of a woman's emotional world, from the depths of sorrow to the heights of joy. In this way, patience becomes a gateway to understanding, a tool for building deeper connections, and a path to emotional harmony. In the end, patience is the soil from which all other virtues grow. It is the quiet strength that allows a man to be present without judgment, to support without expectation, and to love without condition. Through patience, he nurtures a deeper connection with the woman he loves, not by rushing the process of emotional growth, but by allowing it to unfold naturally, in its own time, with the steady hand of understanding, respect, and love guiding the way. The role of communication in emotional intelligence. Communication is often seen as the exchange of information, a simple transfer of words from one person to another. But when it comes to the emotional mind of a woman, communication is far more than this. It is the bridge that connects hearts, the subtle art of expressing what is felt deep within the soul. True communication requires not only the sharing of thoughts, but the understanding of emotions, the capacity to listen with depth, and the wisdom to speak with empathy. For a man seeking to understand the emotional landscape of a woman, communication is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence, and it is through this exchange that true connection is forged. To communicate effectively with a woman is not simply to voice one's own thoughts and opinions. It is to first create a space where her voice, her emotions, and her experiences are heard and valued. The art of communication begins not with speaking but with listening. A man must cultivate the ability to listen, not just to the words being spoken, but to the emotions that lie behind them. Every word carries with it an emotional weight, a message that transcends the surface meaning. A woman's voice, whether filled with joy or sorrow, is often a reflection of a deeper truth, one that cannot be fully understood through logic alone. In order to truly communicate, a man must be attuned to these deeper currents, the silent language of the heart that speaks louder than any words. A Stoic man understands that true communication requires the cultivation of emotional intelligence, the ability to perceive, understand, and respond to the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence is not a natural gift that some possess and others lack. It is a skill that can be developed and refined through practice, awareness, and a willingness to engage with the emotional truth of those around us. For a man to communicate effectively with a woman, he must first develop the ability to be emotionally present, to be aware of his own emotions and the emotions of those he interacts with. This awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. It is through this foundation that true understanding is built. The role of communication in emotional intelligence is not limited to the spoken word. It extends to body language, tone, and timing. A woman's emotional state can often be perceived through subtle cues, the way her eyes dart when she is uncertain, the way her posture changes when she feels vulnerable, the slight tremor in her voice when she is struggling to express herself. A man who is attuned to these cues is a man who can communicate on a deeper level. He understands that communication is not merely a logical exchange, but a dance of energy, emotion, and presence. He learns to read the room, to listen to what is unsaid, and to respond in a way that honors the emotional state of the woman in his life. However, communication is not solely about understanding what is being communicated. It is also about expressing oneself with clarity and empathy. A man must learn to speak not from a place of judgment, but from a place of understanding. He must communicate his thoughts and feelings in a way that takes into account the emotions of the other person. This means choosing words carefully, considering their impact, and being mindful of the timing and delivery. Communication, when done well, is an act of emotional generosity. It is the willingness to open one's heart and share it, not for the sake of being understood, but for the sake of building a deeper connection. When a man communicates from this place of emotional intelligence, he creates an atmosphere of trust and openness, where both partners feel safe to express themselves fully. A Stoic man knows that effective communication requires a level of self-awareness and emotional restraint. He understands that not every emotion needs to be expressed immediately, nor does every thought need to be shared. There is wisdom in choosing when to speak and when to listen, in understanding that silence can often convey more than words ever could. A woman's emotional state is not always one that demands a response. Sometimes the greatest act of communication is to simply be present, to listen with full attention, and to allow space for the other person to find their own voice. The Stoic embraces this practice of emotional restraint, knowing that true communication is as much about what is left unsaid as it is about what is spoken. Moreover, effective communication requires a willingness to engage in difficult conversations. The emotional mind of a woman, like that of any person, can be complex and sometimes painful to navigate. There will be times when emotions run high, when misunderstandings arise, and when words are not enough to bridge the gap. In these moments, a man must call upon his emotional intelligence to approach the conversation with patience and understanding. He must be willing to engage with discomfort, to face the emotions that arise without reacting impulsively, and to seek resolution not through argument, but through compassionate dialogue. This is the role of communication in building emotional intelligence. It teaches a man to engage with emotions, not as obstacles to be overcome, but as experiences to be understood and respected. Through the cultivation of emotional intelligence, a man becomes more than just a partner. He becomes a mirror, reflecting the emotional truth of the woman he loves. He learns to validate her feelings, to acknowledge her emotional world, and to communicate in a way that strengthens their connection rather than diminishing it. This is the power of communication. It is not just a means of exchanging information, but a way of forging a deeper bond, of creating a space where both partners can be fully seen, heard, and understood. True emotional intelligence is a gift that enriches not only the relationship, but also the individual. As a man learns to communicate with empathy, awareness, and respect, he grows in his own emotional maturity. He becomes more attuned to his own emotions, more capable of understanding his own needs, and more equipped to navigate the complexities of his own heart. In this way, communication becomes not only a tool for connection, but a path to personal growth. A way for both partners to evolve, to learn, and to deepen their understanding of themselves and each other. The strength in vulnerability and its impact on emotional intimacy. Vulnerability is often viewed as a weakness, a surrender of strength, and an invitation for harm. In a world that values stoicism, control, and emotional fortitude, it may seem counterintuitive to consider vulnerability as a strength. Yet, in the delicate dance of human connection, vulnerability becomes one of the most powerful forces available. It is the gateway to true intimacy, the open door through which emotional connection can flow freely. For a man seeking to understand and navigate the emotional world of a woman, embracing vulnerability is not just essential, it is transformative. The Stoic ideal encourages strength in the face of adversity, resilience in the face of hardship. But the Stoic also understands the importance of recognizing one's own limitations, of confronting one's own fears and weaknesses. In this context, vulnerability is not about exposing one's every flaw or insecurity, but about acknowledging that to be human is to be imperfect, to be both strong and fragile at once. True strength lies not in the ability to hide one's weaknesses, but in the courage to face them and to share them with others. In the realm of emotional intimacy, vulnerability is the invitation to be seen, not as an idealized version of oneself, but as one's true, authentic self. In a relationship, emotional intimacy cannot flourish without vulnerability. To connect on a deep emotional level requires both partners to lower their defenses, to let go of the need for control, and to allow themselves to be seen in their raw, unpolished state. This is particularly true in the context of a woman's emotional world, where her heart is often filled with complex layers of emotion that may be difficult to express. To create space for a woman to reveal these layers, a man must first embrace his own vulnerability. Only when he is willing to expose his own fears, his own desires, and his own struggles, can he create an environment where vulnerability is met with understanding rather than judgment. The act of being vulnerable is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness. Yet true vulnerability is rooted in strength, for it requires the courage to face one's own fears, to reveal one's true self, and to trust another with the parts of oneself that are most fragile. In the presence of vulnerability, a woman finds the opportunity to open herself up, to share her own heart without fear of rejection or criticism. When a man offers his vulnerability, he sends the message that it is safe to be real, to be imperfect, and to be human. This creates a deep sense of emotional intimacy, where both partners are able to connect not just through their actions, but through their shared emotional experiences. Furthermore, vulnerability is not a one-time act, but a continuous practice. It is the ongoing process of revealing oneself, of sharing one's thoughts, fears, and desires, and of being open to receiving the same in return. In a relationship, vulnerability is the act of consistently showing up as one's true self, without fear of judgment, rejection, or misunderstanding. For a woman, this kind of emotional openness creates a safe space in which she can let down her guard, knowing that her partner is not only willing to witness her emotions, but to share his own in return. When both partners embrace vulnerability, emotional intimacy reaches new depths. This is not intimacy born from mere physical closeness, but from the deep emotional connection that comes from sharing one's inner world. In these moments, when both individuals are vulnerable with each other, a bond is forged that transcends surface-level interactions. It is a bond that is rooted in mutual understanding, mutual respect, and mutual love. It is a bond that can withstand the tests of time, for it is built not on fleeting emotions, but on the deep connection that arises from sharing one's true self. The Stoic practice of vulnerability is not about seeking validation or approval from others, but about being authentic in one's own experience. It is about facing one's fears and acknowledging one's flaws while simultaneously recognizing one's strengths. It is about allowing oneself to be imperfect, knowing that perfection is a false ideal, and that true beauty lies in the acceptance of one's flaws. In this way, vulnerability becomes a form of self-acceptance, a declaration that one is enough as they are, not because they are perfect, but because they are authentic. In the context of a relationship, Vulnerability is the bedrock upon which emotional intimacy is built. A man who can embrace vulnerability offers the woman he loves the chance to do the same. Through this shared vulnerability, they create a space where both can grow, learn, and heal together. They become not just lovers, but partners in the truest sense of the word. Two souls intertwined, each offering their heart to the other without fear, without reservation.